Hi guys, just me and the kitty, and she wanted to be on me. I noticed she photobombs me all the time, sitting on the cabinet, but went laid down and she kept laying on my leg and doing this little, like she wanted me to get up. So I'm up. I asked her if she wanted to do a video with me, and maybe she did, maybe she didn't, I don't know. But she didn't leave my arms, as you can see. She had me carry her in here. So, gosh, my hair's a mess. But I was in there watching some videos, some pretty funny ones with some cats and horses and things in them. I like to watch those reels that come up sometimes. Some of them to me are kind of stupid, but what do they say? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, so I'm sure some people related to them. So, what'd you do today? Did you have a good day? I hope you did. I always wish you a happy day. Um, even though sometimes things go wrong, we can still be happy. And I try to. I try to be a happy person. Um, that chair's not cooperating. So this was spur of the moment. I didn't make any notes. I didn't plan on doing a video, but I took a long nap today. I didn't wake up till 7 o'clock tonight. So, wow, I got a lot of sleep. But caregiver was here today, and she went with me. I had a where the foot doctor checks out your feet when you're diabetic. So they're always really impressed because they say, "Oh, your feet are perfect," blah blah blah. Well, I just learned to take care of them. Dad was a farrier, and he had this saying, "No hoof, no horse," and that's true though. If you don't have feet, you can't walk. So yeah, I keep the calluses off and the nails trimmed and things like that. So, excuse me. I see some people made a few comments. That was impressive. Here, Nutty. Here, Nutty. I don't know. She's being picky. Usually she can't get enough treats. And I tried to give her two, but she acts like she doesn't want them. Boy. No, I'm not tired. I'm doing the wake-up yawns. It's about... Can't see without my glasses, but 11:14. I don't know if anybody else can do this that needs glasses, but if you go like this with your hand and you put it to your eye and you close the other one and you make just a small opening right here where you can see through, I can see far away. So when I have to see the clock over there, I can see it very clearly. It says 11:15. But if I just look at it, even with an eye closed, it's just blurry green on the back of the stove. Yeah. So, my husband kind of doesn't believe me on that. He thinks I'm weird. Well, that may be true. I can seem weird to a lot of things. There are a lot of people, and people could see weird to me. Oh dear, I don't know what I got on my shirt, but that's okay because when I'm done here, I'll go take a shower and change into my jammies. Um, so yeah, I guess we could talk about how people how are you guys doing? I mean, there's a lot of things going on out there today, and I don't worry like I don't obsess about things or feel like the world's going to beach in a handbasket or anything. I just feel like it is what it is. Oh, sorry. I should have made a trigger warning for that. There's a lot of people that don't like that saying, it is what it is. Um, just joking, guys. Just joking. Um, I'm getting closer to going into nomad life. I don't know if I've mentioned before. I think I've talked about nomads, but I don't think I mentioned that my husband and myself are actually planning on doing that in our little bitty travel trailer. So we started, we downsized to a 1 bedroom apartment from a 3 bedroom. That kind of, we had choices to make. We got rid of a lot of things. We really lightened our load. And because we're aware that when we go live in a trailer, we're going to have to be at the absolute minimum what we need to survive with. And it's not a decision we came to easily. It's not a decision we made by watching other people and deciding, hey, I want to do that. Because we see a lot of people that are having a really hard time. Um, we're all dying, okay? We all owe a death. Um, but since I've been told that I could possibly go sooner than later, I want to get out there and do things. I want to get out and do what I can do, and then just enjoy the rest of my time. Um, I do um, I do plan on continuing videos and hoping that y'all come with me on that trip. The next few summers, we do plan on taking short trips. As I said before, I am not able to leave this apartment for more than a week or two at a time because I will lose it. Um, so we're going to make the best of it. We're going to go some weekends at first and then kind of venture out and see how we can do things. I've watched a lot of these videos where people say you learn as you go, you figure things out. So we feel that if we do these practice runs, we'll get a really good idea of how we want to transition into that. I've researched some campgrounds that are close to where who he works for. Um, I found some that do rent sites year round. Um, Not that we would want to do that. It does get very cold here, and we would like to be able to travel to other places. Now, it wouldn't have to be as warm as Lake Florida or Texas, although there is someone in Texas that I grew up with that I'd really like to go see. Um, she lost her husband several years back and been raising her kids and things on her own, and I just want to go see her. So yeah, just to get out and get mobile and see what there is to see. I've mentioned before that my husband washes windows, and they do wash windows in the winter time here. Um, They have a special alcohol that they put in the wash water to keep it from freezing on the windows and in their buckets. And so that's part of the reason I was looking at options where we could stay if we had to, if we didn't have the money to travel, um, things like that. We're the type of people, we like to be prepared. We like to have things in place. Like, for instance, I told you about buying the tires that I did, and planning things like that would save me in the long run because if I'm out on the road and I blow out a tire, while I do have a donut spare, okay, but the tires on my Explorer are low profile and they're wide and they're 20-inch rims. So, as I mentioned before, they're $225 a piece, and that's at Walmart. You know, that's average price. I did go and price tires at a new tire place that opened up here in town, and they gave me a quote of $1,700 for 5 tires. Um, I can't afford that. That's more than my check for a whole month. It would probably take me 2.5 months to save up for that. So, I did go find 2 tires at a towing company, and I bought them for $50. So $25 a tire. And so if that did happen, even though I haven't found a rim, I do like to have a full size spare. So even though I haven't found a rim for the full size tires yet, I would have something to put on there, and I wouldn't have to worry about having the 200 and some dollars in my pocket at that time. So I hope that helps somebody. um, Managing money is tricky when you're young unless you have specifically been taught by somebody. I know when I was growing up, it was kind of like, oh, figure it out for yourself, kind of a generation. Um, Parents didn't have a lot of money. It was so different back then. So as I've learned about having an emergency fund and things like that, here's a piece of advice. If you're working and you get a raise, and let's say the raise is $1 or $2, take the amount out of your check. So for the raise amount, so you're still living on the money that you're used to, but take that amount of the raise and put it in a savings account. You won't miss it because you're not used to having it, and but it's there in case something were to happen where you would have to have emergency funds. Um, yeah, I adopted that a long time ago, and it works for us. If you plan on going out nomading, they're suggesting that you have an emergency fund of about $5,000 to $10,000, and that's depending on if you're going to have car payment or truck payments or motorhome payments or whatever. You got to pay for insurance. You got to have money. What if your engine or your transmission goes out? Um, Now there are companies that I actually use one for my vehicle. Um, it's like a it's I call it an aftermarket warranty plan, and a lot of them have mileage limits or uh, well, I haven't run into one that had a an age limit. So if excuse me, if my vehicle was from the 90s. My impression was as long as it was under their mileage requirements, you could still get a policy on that. So on my vehicle, when I purchased it, had 131,000 miles on it. So I bought this warranty and thinking that it was going to get me through 2 years because they had the mileage plus they had the years. It would cover 2 years or 156,000 miles. Well, my husband was driving it back and forth to work, and he was driving it all around the towns doing these windows, and he was putting about 2,500 miles a month on this vehicle, and I'm like, we can't do this. It's up to 150,000 miles, and something happened, and we had to have it towed, and it was going to be a $500 repair. So our deductible was $60. So we had to pay $60 compared to $500. That was a lifesaver for us. So I would say if you're driving a motorhome, if you're driving a truck or a car when you're living in them, I would suggest purchasing a warranty. Um, I did find some that have unlimited mileage. You can drive as much as you want to. And you can choose your plan like you do on your auto insurance. You can choose what type of coverage you want. Um, I did have to dig a little bit to find a lot of them cover only drivetrain. They didn't cover anything to do with maintenance. So, spark plugs, wires, things like that. So, when I had this breakdown, it turned out that I needed coil packs, I needed a whole tune up. And that's why it was so expensive, but they covered it. So, I want to check into seeing if I can get this extended or if it, when it reaches 156,000 miles, if their policy is they cannot extend those. So, yeah, they pay for towing, they pay for, now the towing bill I got, they only paid a little bit. It was like $80 or something they would pay. And so I ended up having to pay the rest, which is $253. But where I live is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. The man that came was about an hour and a half away. So I get it. I understand it. I didn't like it, but we did get the vehicle fixed. And instead of paying over $900 to get everything done, we paid the $250 plus the $60. So the warranty did help take a big load off. So if you're living on a limited budget like we are, that may be an option for you, and it may prevent you from having to dig into your emergency fund for major car repairs. If you can afford to fix things like control arms, anything to do with suspension, brakes, there are warranties that you can put them onto your plan. But I didn't research a lot of them. I only found one that would do that. Oh, gosh, I can't think of the name of it. I'll look it up again and I'll find it for you. I think it was car something or other. Now, like car insurance, the more you add, of course, the price goes up. And when I did the math, if I was paying all the payments all month long for a year, my payments did not even come close to paying for a new engine or a new transmission. So for me, that was a very good choice, a wise choice for me to make. Yeah, it's just something for me to put out there for you. that I found out. Um, so back to our little dilemma of putting so many miles on our vehicle. Um, he spoke to his boss about it. So his boss actually gave him a company vehicle to drive back and forth with. So that was a huge help and really cut down on the wear and tear of our vehicle. Plus, now I can take myself to appointments, and my husband doesn't have to take the day off work to do that. Um, it used to be here in North Dakota that the caregivers were allowed to take you in their vehicle, but they've put a stop to that. They don't. They used to pay mileage for them and their hourly wage and everything, but they stopped doing that. Um, but what I've found is I've had 5 or 6 different caregivers during the 6 years that I've been here. And so at first they were allowed to do that and they would take me to Walmart or to the grocery store or whatever. I don't buy groceries at Walmart. So then it changed. But the one I have now, she will ride with me. And of course, I want her to go to the office with me. I want her to be there and basically to help me remember what the doctor said or remind me of the questions I wanted to ask because, like I said before, I have a little bit of a cognitive problem. Sometimes I don't think right or I struggle to get words out. And if somebody would say something to me and I was too busy processing it because I I analyze every little thing. Um, I might not hear the next thing they said. So yeah, I kind of I kind of would like somebody to be there with me. So I drive my car and she goes with me. And again, this can be considered on her time and not get paid for it. So I've offered to give some money, but she doesn't want it. So um, I'm very lucky that way to have someone that that will do that. I don't think it's fair at all. I think that there ought to be more programs with social services that would allow that. Now, the programs I have through my insurance company and that and Medicare, my medical appointment trips are totally covered if I take the public transportation. Um, yeah. I used to use the public transportation when I lived in town, and they were very good at their job. Um, then I moved out here to where I'm at, and I had to call someone from our county, and they they're supposed to be under the same um, umbrella. That's what I call it. They're under this. They're in the same house. Now, this company has to cover a lot of territory and they only have a couple of vehicles. So, with them, you have to schedule your appointments according to their schedule. And they only come to certain towns on certain days. So, if they're making a round of people that they're picking up, if you have to go to Walmart or something, they'll put you on a list and then you'll have to wait until they're going on their trip and then ride with all these other people. So it's a little inconvenient. Sometimes you end up sitting there waiting on other people to get done. Um, but it's a good service and it helps a lot of people out. Well, I was doing that and I was It was fine with me until it was a really snowy day. And this was one of those big, like, ProMaster vehicles. It was the long one and the tall one. And it was just a snowing and a blowing. And the highway here that we drive to town, as I've mentioned before, it runs through the middle of a lake. So there's water on both sides, and it's a two-lane highway. And for the most part, most of it, there's no guardrail. There's a guardrails up closer to the bridge and things like that. But it doesn't feel like a dangerous road as long as you're driving the speed limit. Well, the wind was whipping this truck just back and forth, and she's driving extremely fast, in my opinion. Now, I'm sitting in the back of it. It could feel like it's going faster than she's actually driving. I don't know. But I asked her several times, I go, could we just slow down a little bit? I feel unsafe. And she wouldn't even respond to that. So we get to my doctor's appointment, and I go in, and they had something happen, a scheduling thing or whatever, where I ended up having to wait 45 minutes to get in. It was 45 minutes. And that's not something they normally have. Usually I get there, I check in, I sit down, and within a couple of minutes I'm called back. Okay. Well, this time was taking a very long time. So by the time I got done and got back out to the vehicle, that woman went off on me about I'm wasting her time. And um, I looked at her and I said, I understand you have other clients. I do. I said, but this was out of my control. Um, I wasn't lollygagging. I said, I waited for my appointment. I went to my appointment. I came straight out afterwards. I didn't go shopping in the pharmacy or anything like that. I knew you were waiting on me. So she was angry all the way back home. So I called and, or I emailed. So anyway, I contacted the office there. Come to find out, she's the lady that runs the place. Yeah. So the letter I got back, the email I got back was that it was investigated and they found nothing wrong, so the employee would not be disciplined. Okay, that's that. So after that, I found other ways to get to town. Whether it was a caregiver or a friend or whatever, I borrowed a car. My husband borrowed a car from the neighbor. Um, I did everything to avoid that. Now, if I have to go somewhere further away, like to Grand Forks, which is, um, oh gosh, it's over 100 miles away, um, I will use them because the trip's paid for and I don't have to put wear and tear on my vehicle or use up the gas. So on those days, this was before I stopped riding with them. They had taken me to Grand Forks a couple of different times. And like I said, they take other people with appointments as well. Well, the appointment I had was with a orthopedic surgeon, and so he had to go through x-rays with me. The appointment, in my opinion, wasn't long, long, long. It was probably average for what we had to do, and he had to explain things to me. But I don't think I was in there an hour, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. And when I got back out there, I was chastised. And all I can think of is if this is a company and you're doing this as a service, um, and people have no control how long their appointments take, then maybe you need to rework your scheduling better. Um, I understand that you may want to be back at 5 o'clock, but if we don't get done until 3 o'clock, uh, then that's what it is. And that's another rule they put on there, is that your appointment can't be past a certain time of the day. So it really limits the people that they can actually take. I mean, not everybody can get in there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Life just doesn't work that way. But it's like they expect everybody to work around them, and that's not always possible. Of course, I'm willing to do my part, and I'm willing to attempt to uh, make life easier on them. Um, but they don't appreciate it. They just want to. They're not nice to talk to. Uh, well, in my opinion, they're not nice. They're very short with me. Um, they say, "What time's your appointment?" And I could say 11 o'clock. Well, are you going to be done by 1? Well, I don't know. You know, well, don't you ask how long the appointment's going to take? And it kind of makes me feel like, um, well, it did. I don't do this anymore. I don't feel this way anymore, but it kind of takes away your power or your confidence. You're relying on these people for a ride, a safe ride there and back, and then they put all these parameters in, and you have to do everything in their time. So, in all the agencies in the state, that is the only one I've ever had a problem with. And maybe they could have spent less money instead of buying this big ProMaster and bought a couple of smaller vehicles where they wouldn't be stretched so thin. Um, as far as I know, there's only 2 or 3 girls that work there and maybe one man. And I don't know if he's just maintenance or whatever. But as far as I know, that and another vehicle is all they have. And if they're covering 3 or 4 counties like they claim they are, um, why aren't all the counties funding them? Or are they? But that's not my concern. My concern is how people are getting treated, and people that are older than me, people that maybe live alone, and I don't think it's fair to treat anybody that way and feel like they're taking their power away. Yeah, I've said it. I used to drive for a place like that. um, when I had my business, um, I became acquaintances with the director at the social services place. And I did a lot of work for them for a very discounted price. So in return, she offered me a job driving. And I said, "Oh, yeah, that'd be fine." Um, I had a chauffeur's license that I had since working for another place, which happened to be a mental hospital that I drove for. So I said, "Yeah, that would be great. I think that would be fun." So that's what I did. And one time I had to take them to a long trip down to Indianapolis. It's about 3 hours away from where we're at. Well, excuse me. And I had to be there all day because they were there to do their thing. And that part wasn't fun. But yeah, they said I could go watch it and everything, and I just, nah. I'm a little antisocial. I didn't want to go in there, so I picked a seat in the back of the bus and I went to sleep. That's what I did. So the ladies ended up calling the director and telling her that I wasn't fit to drive back because I was too tired. So she ends up driving all the way down there with one of the vehicles, a car. And she takes me aside and she tells me this and she's laughing. She said, you can drive the car back. I said, okay, so that's what I did. But everybody has a viewpoint. Everybody has a different take on things. Um, but as far as driving people around, and there were rules to follow as a driver. You were not allowed to carry people's groceries up to their house. You weren't allowed to. Now, if they were in a wheelchair or something, we did have responsibilities. We had to make sure the wheelchair was locked in and things like that. And that's another thing. When I was full time in a wheelchair, this company that I was just telling you about here, they would ask me on the phone, well, are you taking your wheelchair today? And I would say, yeah. And they would go, excuse me? Is that inconvenient for you? Or I would get on there with my wheelchair and they would say, well, can't you just fold that up and put it there beside you and sit in the seat? Um, yeah, that's how they are. And I just got to thinking about the times that I drove, and I did not carry people's groceries in the house. However, I would carry them to their door. And I'm talking old ladies and people that were severely handicapped and things like that. Trying to be kind to people. Um, and those people are the ones that'll request you, and you get more clients. So we weren't paid by the number of rides we gave. We were paid by the hour. So who wants to sit there in the office? I didn't. I wanted to be out and about and socializing. So yeah, I had to drive to places that I didn't necessarily want to be because they had to go to a hospital in another town that was kind of far away, and I would have to sit there and wait on them. And it wasn't exactly fun, especially when it was rainy and cold or snowing and cold. Um, when it was a nice day, this one hospital that I had to run to, they had an actual park across the street. So I would go sit out there or just enjoy the day. But these other times, how long can you sit in a hospital? You don't know the person. It's not like you can go sit with them. So I would probably get a cup of coffee and go sit in the car and, play on my phone or something. Um, and what I had was I had given the people my phone number so they could call me when the person was ready to be picked up. And that's how that worked, and it worked out fine. Um, but I would never think of talking to somebody the way these people talk in this particular place. And, I think that when you're only two people and you're bouncing things off of each other, and they can get into a negative state of mind, or they can be talking about a client, um, it can really turn into a negative thing. And I think that's how they got there. Well, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, and get on their high horse about it. But that's okay. It's there. If I was in a dire need for transportation, I would probably do it again. But if I have a choice, I'd rather not. I just don't want to go through that drama. Um, And then there's the manager of this place, and they're all connected. So, what do you do? You can't do a thing. Um, yeah, so that's that. And let me know if you ever run into transportation trouble or just trying to get to the doctor sometimes or to the stores. We don't have any family here. I don't have a big family left. I have a sister and a brother and a mother. Um, two cousins. I don't know. It's not like I don't know these people. I know them, but I've gone no contact, absolutely no contact with two of them. Um, my sister keeps me filled in on the rest of them and what they're doing, and we talk about once a week on the weekend. She does saddle repair and runs the barrel racing and stuff, and she's got a pretty good life. Um, and it's not like I don't talk to the other ones. It's just not, we're just not in that kind of relationships where we would talk all the time. So, yeah, it's just my husband and myself here. Um, he's got a bigger family as far as more siblings, and they don't call. He used to call them like every on their birthdays, at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. And one year he didn't, and we found out they don't call him. They don't. So he says, "Oh, I'm not going to do that anymore." He says, "They don't call me, so why should I keep doing it?" And I said, "Well, that's your decision. I didn't have anything to do with that." But yeah, it's kind of strange. It's better than have a family that fights all the time. Yeah, we wouldn't want to do that. Uh, my family was, we used to be close. It seems like after Grandma died, Grandma must have been the glue that was holding us all together because it just seemed like drifting away. Everybody started drifting their own way. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Everybody lives their own way. But I do remember my grandma was just so, she lived big. I told you about the colored hair and the parades she did. But she was also into showing dogs, Dobermans. And she was into everything. The riding stable she had, and such a people person, such an outgoing person. And then one day, it was almost like this. It was almost like one day she just sat down and that was it. I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. And she did sit herself in a wheelchair and she decided that she wasn't doing anything. Today, she might have gotten a diagnosis or a referral from her doctor um, to find some help or something. But as I've said before, mental illness is not really, it's a lot better than it used to be, I think. I know that my experiences have been, over the past 30 years, I have seen improvements. So, the geno testing is a big thing. My prescriber, I've asked her about it since. I said, "How's that working out?" And she shook her head. She said, "It's not working." And I said, "Well, it worked on me." She says, "Oh, I know, and I'm glad it did." She goes, "And I was so hopeful it was going to work for everybody, but it didn't. It worked on less people than I thought it would. So it wasn't worth doing anymore." So hopefully they'll improve that. That's a baseline, maybe. Somebody will improve that. Um, I'd like them to focus on people getting better and not keeping them sick. Um, I'd like to focus on. Oh, here's a story for you. I had a doctor in Indiana that had his own practice, and he was the only one that worked there, other than his secretary and nurse's aide. And he had, I don't remember the name of the disease, but it's where your muscles shrivel up and you start to hunch over and your body starts to deform a little bit. And he walked with two canes, and very similar to the doctor I have now. Well, he found a cure and he wrote a paper on it, and he had evidence. He had the pictures of what he looked like before and how he looked after. And the after photos, he had regular muscle development. He was not walking with canes, and he cured himself. Well, they came down on him, threatened to take his license because he was experimenting on himself. Isn't that crazy? They want us to stay sick. He told me that. He said they don't want to cure anything. They don't want to lose their power over people or their whatever it is. So he had to stop taking that treatment and doing that. So he started going back, regressing back to the way he was. And to me, I felt like that was a crime. He didn't commit a crime, they did. But they treated him as he was a criminal. Um, he did end up closing his um, office and that, and he sent out letters to everybody stating that he wasn't going to practice anymore, that his health was deteriorating, and he did go into a little bit of what had happened when he turned in his evidence and uh, everything that a doctor would do was their research and everything. So, yeah, people be aware, wake up. Um, we've got to stop feeling like we have no power, that we don't have any choices. That's the way they want us to feel. Um, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I've seen evidence of certain things going on. And that's what I go by, is what I actually witnessed or actually seen the evidence of. So if you tell me that you saw an alien, I'm going to look for the evidence of that. I'm not just going to say, oh, yeah, that's cool, or no, you didn't. I'm going to find out. So if you ask me, do I believe in aliens? Well, yeah, look, we got illegal aliens everywhere. I'm just joking. That's a bad joke. But as far as from other worlds or outer space and things like that, anything's possible. You know, I'm not the creator, and it really doesn't matter to me what other people are doing. Um, what I care about is the outcome of what they're doing, and the outcome of that medical board that basically took my doctor away from me was a very good doctor. He did work on cures. He did really want to help cure people. And there, he was the minority, therefore they jumped his shit and got him out. Um, that happens in a lot of ways in a lot of places. Don't be discouraged. Keep fighting. Keep trying. Um, keep reminding yourself that this country is a republic and we're not a democracy. We're not a democracy, people. Wake up. Don't submit to others that are trying to put us in a cage. Please don't do that. I don't want to see what would happen if that happened. And I sense that there's many of you that know what I'm talking about, that agree with that have come to those conclusions with your own evidence. But I'm begging people to just look for the evidence, find out for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Just find out. That should be something that is at the forefront of your mind, because you could wake up in a cell somewhere and thinking, well, how did I get here? How did this happen? So educate yourselves, find out how that could happen. Everything runs in cycles, as I said in my last video, and it will come around again. And remember, they've put people in a whole country in slavery. That's a Bible study that I don't want to go into, because there's people on here that aren't believers. But it's there. And I encourage everybody, if you're not reading the Bible because it was written by man, then I suggest you don't read anything, because it's written by man as well. So if you read, that's a book that you should read. And my take on the book is, from cover to cover, it's a total love story, and represents true love. And it's quite amazing. It's withstood lots of things. Catholic religion is probably, I don't know if it's the oldest religion, or I don't know, but I know it goes way back. And from what I understood when I was doing some studies with them, when I was experimenting, trying to find answers, they had actually shown where the Bible was not allowed to be in everybody's hand. It was meant for the preacher, the father, whatever, to read to them and interpret for them what it meant. Now, when I was talking about the college and the professors, doesn't that sound a little familiar? See, everything goes around, comes around again. Stop doing the same thing over and over and over again. Come on, guys. Oh, focus on your families. Focus on what's right and what's true. And just stop. So anyway, there were people that risked their lives to get the Bible into people's hands to read for themselves. And don't disregard that. Don't disregard the people that did that. It was such a battle to get those words to people, get it out there. And they felt so strongly about it that that's what they did. And they did risk their lives and die for it. It was kept in secret. So take advantage of it. Read what they fought for, what they were trying to get out there to us and to put in our hands to see for ourselves. I would say don't dive into these other things that are distracting you from a good life, from stranger ways that we're led to believe are spiritual, or I'm not going to go there. too much. Too much, too much. Here I've made a long video, so I'm going to get off of here. And please don't forget to like, dislike, and subscribe, share, discuss these videos with your friends. It's not about me. It's about trying to get some of what's in here out to you. Hopefully it will help somebody. Maybe you just enjoy watching my beautiful face, and that's okay too. Have a happy day, guys. Bye-bye.